Hi children, back to the class. Today we are going to see the part 3 of chemical reactions and equations. Okay, in part 3 we are going to discuss mainly about types of chemical reactions. What it is? Types of chemical reactions. Different ways of chemical reactions occur in our day-to-day life, in our surroundings, in the environment. Okay, so based on specific characteristic features, those are classified into 4 types. Okay, for your level you will be understanding about these 4 levels. Out of those, the first one is chemical combination reaction. Chemical combination reaction. Combination itself gives the clarity that it is combining one with the another. Okay, that means when we take two similar substances combine together chemically, then if it is giving out only one product, then it is called chemical combination. So when it is combining maybe 2 substances or 3 or 4, whatever the number in the reactants, but output product will be only single substance. So the general equation is like this. A substance A combines with substance B to give out substance AB. Okay, here 2 different substances are involved, simpler substances, simpler compounds or the elements combine to give you a complex compound or the bigger compound. This is the general equation. So every equation or the reaction in this chemical combination follows this skeletal equation or the general equation very strictly. It has to follow this one. Then only we say it is combination reaction. Okay, now let us come with the examples. See, one of the best examples in the previous class also we have seen evolution of the gas, light and heat. At that time we took the example of magnesium. When magnesium burns in the oxygen, it gives you magnesium oxide. Magnesium is in the solid form and oxygen is in the gaseous form. When these two combined, giving out magnesium oxide, which is a simple substance or single substance. This is one example. And here one more example we are having. Hydrogen gaseous form combines with the oxygen in the gaseous form, gives out hydrogen oxide, which is generally known as water. Okay, it is in the liquid state. So here 2 substances, simpler elements combine to give you one compound. And come to the third case, carbon. You know very well carbon is nothing but, we know the common name for the carbon in day-to-day life also we use that. Charcoal also one of the examples of carbon. Okay, and carbon is nothing but the coal, we can say, coal mines and all. Okay, this carbon when burns in the oxygen, carbon is in the solid form, we know very well it is in blackish color, and oxygen in a gaseous form. These two combine to give you carbon dioxide, which is solid gaseous form. Okay, so 2 simpler elements combine to give you one compound. Okay, it is also in accordance with the general equation. Now come to the 4th example. Calcium oxide, quicklime. The common name for this one is quicklime in the solid form. Combines with the water, liquid state. Gives out calcium hydroxide. Common name for this one is slaked lime. Slaked lime. Calcium hydroxide, which is actually aqueous form. But it is forming like a precipitate. So we can mention it as a solid form. Okay, this is about first type of chemical reactions known as chemical combination reactions. Now let us see one of the chemical reactions of these live. How the reaction is taking place with an activity. Okay children? Yeah. This is calcium oxide, which is also known as quicklime. And see the powder how it is. Okay, now I took small quantity of calcium oxide into a test tube. I am adding water to this. Yes, and now you can see it is like milky white, and if you touch it, it will be giving out heat. Okay, I can feel it. That means it is exothermic reaction. Heat is produced. Clear? So this is example for chemical combination reactions. Now the second type of chemical reactions is chemical decomposition. Decomposition is nothing but dissociation or breaking down into the simpler substances. So by the chemical change, if a complex substance or a compound breaking down into simpler elements or the compounds, then that is called decomposition. And this decomposition generally do not happen of its own. It always happens by the external sources. Maybe some energy is required, maybe in the form of heat or in the form of light or in the form of electricity. So based on what basis the decomposition takes place, those are subdivided into three categories. Out of them, the first one is thermal decomposition. Thermal decomposition is nothing but thermal is nothing but the heat. So the decomposition which happens in the presence of heat, then that is called the thermal decomposition. The general equation is a compound, any complex compound AB gives when it is heated or electricity is passed or else exposed to the light, it will be giving you the simpler elements or the compounds A plus B. This is the general equation. All the reactions in the decomposition must be in accordance with this general equation. Okay, so the first one is the thermal decomposition. Thermal is nothing but heat. By heating, if any compound is breaking down into its simpler substances, then we say that is the thermal decomposition. The best example is calcium carbonate. Calcium carbonate common name is limestone. Common name for the calcium carbonate is limestone. This is in the solid state. When you heat this calcium carbonate, it gives you calcium oxide. Calcium oxide common name is, in the previous activity we learned that, quicklime. Okay, this is a quicklime plus it is a carbon dioxide gas produced. It is in the gaseous form. Okay, so here you see a complex compound when heated. The symbol, delta symbol is nothing but heating. We already understood that to make the chemical equation more informative, we have to write the conditions under which the reaction is happening. So here on the equation we mentioned the delta symbol, which indicates it is happening in presence of heat, on heating. Okay, and calcium oxide and carbon dioxide. See, it is a complex compound when broken down in the presence of heat, giving you the simpler substances. So two compounds. It's not that always only two substances to be produced. Sometimes more than two also will be produced. Okay. Now come to the second example, ferrous sulfate. Actually, ferrous sulfate crystals when we take, it is not only FeSO4, it will be containing of water molecules also with it. Okay, hydrated ferrous sulfate we generally say. It will be containing of water also. Okay, and this is actually in the greenish color. Ferrous sulfate is in the greenish color. Okay, when it is heated, it is giving you ferric oxide, which is solid form and which is a brownish color, light brownish color. Ferric oxide is in a brownish color and sulfur dioxide gas and sulfur trioxide gas are produced. In the previous case only two substances produced, but in this equation three substances are mentioned. Means it's not always only two substances to be produced, maybe two or more than two also. Okay, so these two are the best examples for thermal decomposition. Now come to the second category where you require electricity. Okay, so in the presence of electricity, if any compound is broken down into its constituents, then we say that is electrolytic decomposition. What is that? Electrolytic decomposition. So the best example we can take for this is water. When you pass the electricity through the water, it will be giving you hydrogen and the oxygen, because water is made up of hydrogen and the oxygen. So hydrogen and oxygen gases will be produced. Okay, so this type of reaction is nothing but the decomposition, and it is because of the electricity the reaction happened. It is called electrolytic decomposition. Clear? And the next factor we are having is photolytic decomposition. We all know very well about the photo means light. In the presence of light, if this reaction happens, that is called photolytic decomposition. Silver chloride, when exposed to the light, it is giving you silver and the chlorine gas. Silver is a solid form and chlorine. Silver means you know the color, whitish color, and chlorine gas are produced. Here one complex compound is giving you the simpler elements. That's why it is called decomposition. Since it is happened in the presence of light, it is called photolytic decomposition. Am I clear? Yeah. See children, now we are taking one of the examples of thermal decompositions, that is ferrous sulfate crystals. Okay, it is also known as iron sulfate, and it is crystal. No, crystal means it must be containing of water content with it. Because of the water, it is in the crystalline form, and it will be having, for one molecule of ferrous sulfate, having 7 water molecules in it. Yes, are you able to see the greenish color? Yeah, I took small quantity of ferrous sulfate into a test tube, and what is the decomposition this one called? Thermal decomposition means we have to heat. Now I took the spirit lamp, I am heating this compound, and when we are heating this ferrous sulfate, what are the products? Yeah, yes, you are correct. Ferric oxide, sulfur dioxide and sulfur trioxide. And what is the color of ferric oxide? Yes, some of you recollecting what I explained in the previous. Yeah, that is a brownish color. Yeah, good. And when you are heating this ferrous sulfate crystal, first water droplets will be evaporated. The water present in the crystals will be evaporated. Later, the gases sulfur dioxide and sulfur trioxide will be produced. And ferric oxide you can see at the bottom in the brownish color. Are you able to see? Yes, see here, it is changing to the brownish color, and water droplets you could see inside walls of the test tube, and the fumes are releasing here. Are you able to see the fumes? Are you? Yeah, the fumes. It is the sulfur dioxide and sulfur trioxide combination, and it is giving out the smell almost similar to the crackers. Once we burn, what type of smell we get? The similar smell we get. And sulfur dioxide and sulfur trioxide both are very dangerous and poisonous gases. We should not inhale a lot. We have to be very, very cautious. Okay children, see, it is changing to the brownish color now completely. The light greenish color changed to brownish color, and water droplets stick to the inside walls of the test tubes, and the fumes are releasing, which are nothing but sulfur dioxide and sulfur trioxide. This is one of the examples for thermal decomposition. Now come to the third type, that is displacement reaction. This is nothing but chemical displacement. The meaning itself, displacement, makes us understand something is moving out its place and the other new thing will be settling in the place of the old one. That itself is nothing but displacement. It is replacing one's place. Okay. So in the displacement, if you understand with the general equation, AB is a compound, A combined with the B to form like AB, and an element C is there here, and it will be giving you A plus CB. That means from this AB compound, the B is replaced by, yeah, children see here, in this compound, AB plus C gives rise to A plus CB. Here, the C is replacing the A. C is replacing the position of A. Okay, that's why when it is replacing A will be just going out of, and in place of A, C is settling. That's why CB. We should not write BC. We should write CB, because here first part is a A. This is a positive ion and this is a negative ion. If it is a ionic compound. Okay. So from this ionic compound, this element replacing the position of this A in this compound. Okay. That's why C should come to the place of A, not in the place of B. B is always as a second part, not in the first part. Okay. So A plus CB. This is the general equation. Now let us take one example. Copper sulfate. Copper sulfate. What is the color of copper sulfate? Blue. And that's why it is also known as blue vitriol. What do we call? Blue vitriol. What is the color of iron sulfate? Ferrous sulfate. Just now we have seen green color. That's why that is called green vitriol. This is blue vitriol. Iron sulfate is green vitriol. This is blue vitriol. So when you take small quantity of copper sulfate and prepare its solution, which is nothing but the aqueous. Aqua means water. With water, when you dissolve and prepare the solution, that is nothing but AQ, aqueous solution. And when you drop a small piece of zinc in the solution, after some time, maybe half an hour or 1 hour later, this zinc will displace the copper. The zinc displaces copper from its place, and in place of copper, zinc settles. Zinc sulfate will be formed, copper will be separated. Okay, this is aqueous, it is solid, and this copper is solid, and zinc sulfate aqueous solution will be formed. So it is displacing the copper from its copper sulfate. That's why it is called displacement reaction. Okay, let us take one more example. If you take copper chloride aqueous solution, if you take the lead, if you drop into this, the lead is nothing but the bluish gray color. Displace the copper and settles in the place of copper, gives you lead chloride, which is colorless solution will be formed. And this copper is a red brown color. We know very well copper color. Okay. So here this copper is displaced by lead. Okay, that's why it is displacement reaction. Let us take one more example, copper sulfate. When you take the copper sulfate aqueous solution, if you drop the iron here, iron will displace the copper and settles in the place of copper. That's why this is also the example for displacement reaction. So this copper will be separated and iron sulfate is formed, which is like greenish color. Clear? Now let us see activity of this copper sulfate with the iron. And here, how this is able to displace this one? Here we have to understand one concept. Okay? That means reactivity series. Reactivity series means some elements are highly reactive, some are low reactive, some are moderate reactive. Okay? Based on the reactivity. For example, here zinc will displace the copper. Suppose if you take zinc sulfate and copper, this copper cannot displace the zinc because zinc is more reactive than the copper. It is very quite obvious. Suppose for example, if you wanted to replace one person means we always try to see the best one than the previous, better one than the previous. And suppose a person who is very stronger, if there is no place to sit in the one of the areas or in the park or somewhere, if this person is very strong person, then he can just pull out one of the persons sitting on the benches or in the park, and he can pull out one of them and he can settle there. That is happening because this person is more stronger. No one wanted to move out of the place, no? But because of his strength and everything, maybe the strength or the influence or whatever it is, he is able to or she is able to displace the other one from the place. So here also, these elements, this zinc or this lead here or this iron, these are more reactive than the copper. That's why these will displace the position of the copper from their compounds. Okay, and this is nothing but the reactivity series. To understand and easy understanding the reactivity series, at the end of this topic I will be explaining you how to remember which will be more reactive, which is less reactive. With the help of small mnemonic we can understand. Okay, at the end of this chapter I will be explaining you. Okay, yeah, children, this is copper sulfate solution, copper sulfate crystals. Yeah, see here, bluish in color, and I took small quantity of copper sulfate here, and I am just adding few drops of water to this one. Yeah, so beautiful, na? Light bluish color. Yes, very good. And now I am taking a small iron nail. See, this is an iron nail, and which is very clean and neat, and I am dropping this iron nail into this one. So this iron is more reactive than the copper from this copper sulfate solution. It displaces the copper from its solution and it forms iron sulfate and the copper. And here if you observe, this is a complete bluish color and it takes some time. That's why we prepared the solution and kept ready. If you observe the difference between these two, you can see very clearly. This is light greenish color here you could find, and this bluishness is just disappearing, but here it is a very clear blue color. That means here you can see the change happening. The change happening here. Very clearly you are able to see. And this color, if you observe, light greenish color, it is changing into light greenish color. And if you see this iron nail at the head, it is changing into the brownish color. Are you able to see? Just let me drain some solution so that the head can be seen very clearly. Now you see the head. Are you able to see the brown color? Copper coated on the iron nail? Yes? Yeah, that is the copper, and the solution is slowly changing into the greenish color. It is also taking time. It's 1 hour before it is prepared, but if you leave it for more than half day, ultimately everything will be changed into the light greenish color solution and the copper will be deposited on the iron nail. Even now you could see this one. Iron nail, are you able to see the brown color? Still you wanted to check means I will show you in detail. Yeah. Yes, it is just depositing on the iron nail. See here. Yes, this is the copper coating. Yes? Yeah. Yeah. Now come to the fourth one, that is a double displacement reaction. Okay? In the third one, it is a single displacement. Only one element displaces the another element from its compound, but in case of the double displacement, two compounds are there and mutually they exchange their position. Mutual exchange of the positions of them from the compounds. That's why it is called double displacement reaction. That means AB is a compound and CD is the other compound. When these two are combined together, position of A will be going to the position of C and C will be coming back to the position of A. See here, C is coming back to the A. Okay, so along with the B, C is settled, and along with the D, A is settled. A is going to the place of D in place of C, and C is coming back to the position of A. That means it is coming to this place and it is going to this place. That's why it is called double displacement reaction. Okay, for that the best example we are having here is barium chloride aqueous solution and sodium sulfate aqueous solution. When these two combine together, these two are just aqueous solutions, will not be having the color, just very light color it will be. And when these two are combined together, you will be getting barium sulfate, which is a white precipitate, and sodium chloride aqueous solution we get. Okay, when barium chloride combined with the sodium sulfate in the aqueous state, they produce barium sulfate and the sodium chloride. Now you see, barium is replacing the position of sodium and sodium is coming to the settling in place of barium. That's why sodium with the chlorine, sodium chloride, barium with the sulfate, barium sulfate. That's why it is called double displacement reaction. One more example is lead nitrate aqueous solution. If you take with the potassium iodide, these two react each other. This potassium will come and settle in the place of lead and lead will be going and settling in the place of potassium. That's why this lead will be with the potassium with iodine. That's why it is a lead iodide, and this potassium is with the nitrate. This is potassium nitrate. This lead iodide is yellow precipitate and potassium nitrate are produced. This is also double displacement reaction. Now let us take the example of this one in the form of activity. See here, this is sodium. This is sodium sulfate and it is just like the powder, and this is barium chloride. I took small quantity of barium chloride into a test tube and prepared its solution, and into another test tube I took sodium sulfate. Now I am going to add this barium chloride to the sodium sulfate. Just see how the change happens. I am just pouring this barium chloride into the sodium sulfate through the walls of the test tube. Just identify, observe here how through the walls I am just dropping, how the precipitate forms. You could see it easily. Yes, so nice, no? See, the precipitate is formed. This precipitate is nothing but barium sulfate and the solution is nothing but sodium chloride solution. This is the example for double displacement reaction. Clear, children? Yes. Yeah. Children, in the previous I told you, just end of this topic, I am going to give you a small hint, a clue how to remember which is more reactive and which is less reactive. So here, this zinc can displace the copper, but copper cannot displace. And here lead can displace the copper, but copper cannot displace the lead. And iron can displace the copper, but not the copper displaces the iron. Okay? How do we know which can displace what? And out of these, the zinc, lead and iron, which is more reactive? How do we know? So, to remember that, I am giving a small mnemonic which is very easy to remember and easy to understand. You can understand, and at some point of view also it will be helping you a lot. Okay? Now see here, this is a mnemonic. Popular scientists can make a Jew in a low, humid conditions with more satisfaction. I am repeating. Popular scientists can make a Jew in a low, humid conditions with more satisfaction. From each word, the starting letter, if you see, that indicates the element. From the popular, first letter P is nothing but the potassium, scientists, yes, sodium, can, calcium, make, M for magnesium, A for aluminium, Z for zinc, I for iron, low, L for lead, humid, H for hydrogen, C for copper, more, M for mercury, S for satisfaction, S for silver. So this is the sequence. This all if you write in the sequence, popular scientists can make a Jew low in a low humid conditions with more satisfactory. Silver for satisfactory, and gold and the platinum are the last ones. Now if you see this order, gradually the reactivity will be coming down. This potassium is the highest. I am extremely sorry, I am giving the same letter. Potassium symbol is actually K. Okay, so this potassium is the highest reactive when compared with the remaining all in this table. This potassium can displace any of the elements in the series. It can displace sodium, calcium, magnesium, aluminum, zinc, iron, whatnot, everything. And when we come to the sodium, sodium can displace calcium, magnesium, aluminum, anything down to it, but it cannot displace the potassium. Potassium is more reactive than the sodium. If you take the example of calcium, calcium can displace magnesium, aluminum, zinc or iron or lead or hydrogen or copper, mercury, silver or these. But this calcium cannot displace potassium or the sodium. Similarly, if you take the zinc, zinc can displace the elements which are down to it, but it cannot displace which are above it. Okay? It cannot displace aluminum, it cannot displace magnesium, it cannot displace calcium, it cannot displace sodium, it cannot displace even potassium. That means if two elements are given to you, for example, aluminum and the zinc, okay? Aluminum sulfate or the zinc sulfate, something is given. In the given solutions, if they drop aluminum as well as the zinc, in which solution what can be displaced? Then you have to write this one. In aluminum sulfate solution, zinc cannot displace aluminum. But in the zinc sulfate solution, aluminum can displace because aluminum is more reactive than the zinc. Okay? Zinc sulfate solution and aluminum sulfate solution. Okay? And zinc is given in both of them, or zinc metal as well as aluminum metal. If you drop both of them into each one separately, in which solution the reaction takes place, like that they may question us. So, from the zinc sulfate, zinc will be displaced by aluminum. But from the aluminum sulfate, aluminum cannot be displaced by zinc because zinc is the lower reactive than the aluminum. So like that you can understand at some point of view, this all will help you a lot for finding out the reaction whether it occurred or not. So now with these examples, if you observe copper and the zinc, copper and the lead, copper and the iron. See, copper is here, okay, lead is above the copper, iron is above the copper and zinc is above the copper. These three can displace the copper, but this copper cannot displace any one of them because copper is down in that series than this up in that series. Okay, but iron can displace the lead from the lead nitrate or the lead sulfate solution, but lead cannot displace the iron from the iron sulfate solution. Similarly, zinc can displace iron from the iron sulfate solution, but iron cannot displace zinc from the zinc sulfate solution because it is more reactive than the iron. Yes, this is the clue I would like to give you. Gradually, this is the decreasing order of the activity series. Okay, and this is the mnemonic. Popular scientists can make a Jew in a low humid conditions with more satisfaction. And last two words, gold and platinum. Those are the least reactive than anything else. Okay, children, I hope you understood.